fantastic IGL in his own right. I think he's one that Na'Vi may have at times even considered, as well as Flit, who I think it's well known that he was considered for Na'Vi as a fantastic player on forZe, and it is a regional matchup, which is always a little bit up in the air, as well as the fact that, I mean, Dust 2 is a little bit of a map where it's tough to be fully consistent. And so if you end up on Dust 2 very often, you're going to struggle to be entirely consistent. That's what we saw in Na'Vi losing to Akuma. Of course, they should really not be losing to Akuma. However, it was on Mirage and it was on Dust 2. And that seems to suggest we may see something similar here.
Yeah, maybe. I think forZe has a lot to learn, isn't there? Watching the previous matchups, and a lot to learn from. Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. Of course, nothing too crazy here in terms of the vertigo, and I guess the train being removed just because maybe they're not practicing it, and it is obviously a solid one for Na'Vi. They're going to pick into the Dust 2, sticking with it, confident with their game plan. I think if they lose the Dust 2 here against forZe, really have some questions to ask, in my opinion, although, like you say, it is a difficult map to be consistent on. I guess if they lose in a one-sided fashion, big time. And then Mirage coming in as well. These are dangerous maps. Very dangerous maps if you look at the previous results.
Mirage is definitely what you're expecting. I think Mirage is clearly expected. Dust 2, fairly expected from what we've seen from Na'Vi recently, but forZe picking Mirage, I think that's a map that Na'Vi have shown that they're fairly weak on Mirage. You know, they're not pushovers, but it's a map where you bring in a top-tier Mirage team. I think they will typically beat Na'Vi. And then Nuke, this is where it kind of goes up in the air. I was thinking more maybe Overpass, where you're picking away from a map that Na'Vi is strong at. Nuke is a map where in order to be a top 10 team, you have to be good at Nuke at this point. It's almost like Inferno used to be. I think Inferno's still kind of there, but I think Nuke is almost the new Inferno, that you have to be good at Nuke because every other team in the top 10 for the most part is very strong on Nuke. And so picking into Nuke against Na'Vi, I think is a little bit off because it was between Overpass and Nuke. I think if I was forZe, I would have left it on to Overpass. That being said, you know, I believe Nuke was the map that Entropic battered Na'Vi on not long ago. So perhaps something has been figured out there. Perhaps they've seen a flaw that they can try and exploit. But Nuke is a map where I looked at the stats recently, actually. On gun versus gun rounds, Simple has over 1 kill per round. It's Nuke and Train where he's got over 1 kill per round on gun versus gun, which is kind of unheard of. Usually you stack up some frags on the anti-ecos, right, or those sorts of situations. No, with an op in hand, Simple's dropping 1.1 FPR or so on Nuke, and it's going to be a struggle for forZe unless they've got something figured out.
Yeah, some pretty crazy numbers, absolutely. You are right, though. It was the Swiss round where 16-8 from Entropic on Nuke. So definitely, I think if forZe have, and I would presume another team similar to our K23, where they have been quietly making moves and, you know, consistently playing, but not spamming the tournaments out like some of these other teams at this kind of level when they're trying to break into the top tier level. They can certainly play, you know, so many qualifiers, so many tournaments, and win your Spring Sweet Springs or your Pinnacle Cups or whatever to boost the standings that way. And I think they've been slightly more selective than others. But nonetheless, there is a lot of history to go off of, like recent history. You know, you can go back, watch those demos, and really break down how a 16-8 occurs on Nuke, how a 16-2 occurs on Mirage, and maybe try and replicate some of that moving forward. So I think there is certainly potential for forZe to have done that work. Na'Vi, I do feel that the ball is in their court, though. You know what I mean? Like, they absolutely have to figure out what the hell is going wrong, and need to nip it in the bud quickly, which is something that, you know, in the past, as we've seen with little bits of drama and stuff like that, they have struggled to do, really. You know, when there is an issue, it kind of gets out of hand pretty quickly, because it's so wild to me. You know, they're getting past these easier teams here in the CIS RMR. Then they come up against Gambit, and they finally get one over on Gambit. brilliant, magical stuff, and it's pretty one-sided in the end as well. The Dust 2 comes close. They have to mount a bit of a comeback, but Train, no real sweat off their brow with that, and then they go up against Akuma and just get absolutely clapped. So it's very strange. They're a team for me that I think always have a lot of hype, a lot of hope behind them, but regardless of like what level they're playing at, they always seem to fail at the very final hurdle.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is, of course, going to be that all of these teams, for the most part, up until at least recently, have been gunning for Na'Vi. They've been the top team. They've been the team that other CIS teams are likely studying, looking into, and trying to, replicate their levels of, maybe with their own, doing things on their own, but, trying to pick out what they see from Na'Vi that they like. And recently, I think that things have changed a little bit with the emergence of Spirit and Gambit, Virtus Pro a little bit, they've been around a little bit longer, but these teams that maybe other teams are replicating a little bit more. So maybe you're expecting Na'Vi to have a better time, but actually it seems like it's only getting a little bit worse for them. And I would think that maybe forZe saw something in that Nuke game from Entropic that they liked and they wanted to replicate. The problem is, one of the most memorable ones that I remember is that, Astralis versus Mouse, they were in a finals, and Mouse Sports really abused a specific play against Astralis on Inferno where they stayed in the Arch Cubby. And then you have another game a couple weeks later, Vitality picks the map, tries to do the same thing. Astralis runs them over because they saw the issue they had. They fixed the gap. They filled it. And then, another team tries that. It's not going to work. You can't fool me twice. All right. Hopefully, if you're a fan of Na'Vi, that's the situation. You don't want to let Na'Vi get fooled twice on Nuke because that's a map they really should just be better than forZe on. I think definitely it's forgivable if they lose on Mirage. forZe is a great Mirage team. Na'Vi, they're good on Mirage. They're not amazing, right? So if it gets to 3 maps, I don't think that's any slight to Na'Vi. Hopefully, if you want to see Na'Vi in Tier 1 form, though, you probably want them to 2-0. But if they lose 2-1, I think that's a big issue.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that, right? They might have a little bit of a difficult time getting there, but it should be their series. I think one of the big things for me, Simple, obviously it's very, very difficult to play off against him, but, we have this young gun in the form of Zorti on the forZe side of things. And for a long time, forZe really struggled to find a solid lineup like Zapower and Facecrack moving out. Zapower was still kind of playing for them, but sort of not at the same time. Very strange. And it was a rotating fifth door, a bunch of different players that they've tried. They've now settled on this, Zorti and Kensi duo. But I don't know. It's always going to be difficult with Simple, don't get me wrong. But even 3/4 of the level, whether Zorti will be able to hit that or not. So I think that the AWPing game is going to be a big part of things, especially when you open up on Dust 2. Mirage, relatively AWP heavy on the CT side of things. I think that's an area of contention for me that is going to be a struggle. But I don't know. At the same time, Na'Vi, a transitional period for them, I suppose, more consistently using Perfecto and Bit, the newer members of the team. A good move, probably, because, Flamey was looking kind of dire in certain scenarios. I don't know what your feelings are on the Na'Vi 5-man lineup as it is right.
I think it's one of those spots where you have a bit of a downturn. Things aren't going perfect. It's clear, I think, that Flamey, in the long term, Flamey, I don't think was right to stick around. However, you switch over to Bit, and you see the same thing with Vitality, where they've switched over players, and it took something like 6 months, I think, for their previous pickups from Vitality rather, to actually start really performing well. And Bit's not been given that time yet, but he's been given the pressure and the expectation that he needs to perform. And, you see flashes of it, I think, but it's not quite there yet. And so, transitional period, I think, is the perfect way to put it. They're going to need a little bit more time to really get to that top level. And then from there, you're hoping that they do really well in the long term. But short term, definitely dropping. Here's the thing. Dropping a series to forZe, I don't think that's an embarrassment at all. It's dropping a series to Entropic and then dropping a series to Akuma. I think that's where the problems lie.
Yeah, big time. And then I guess forZe to follow that up, right? If you get in the 3 in a row, not good at all and some serious issues. But we'll see here, of course, onto Dust 2. The long approach coming in from Oh, the T side. Boomich going to go down early. Flip. Making quick work of him. And of course, the bomb. Out in the open. Flip just goes flying in. Can he get any more from here? Stuck in at car. He is left on low HP right now. They absolutely have to take him down and deny the 3k away. More is going to go in, which will at the very least force him out, but it's bit with the spam to take him down. 4-on-3. Bomb retrieval is certainly a difficult one, and apparently a suicide mission. Electronic going to fall. Effecto's the only one left. He's got 4 to find. And this is the worst case scenario start for me, to be honest with you. Only the one kill comes in. Oh, and forZe a dominant pistol to kick it off.
Very nicely played from forZe, too. They managed to get that bomb down. Unfortunate for Na'Vi, the way that bomb actually fell. And then they just stacked up. They just didn't give any chance for Na'Vi to actually fight without peeking into 3 or 4 players at a time. And you're fighting Glocks against USPs. Maybe if you had a few P250s, I'm not even sure they had one P250 there. Maybe you've got a chance. In that exact scenario, not going to work out for you.
Yeah, really tough start. I think they did have the one P250. If I'm not wrong, it was on Simple, and he just instantly got decked. So
very unfortunate.
This is kind of an interesting approach. We see a lot of teams have started to move away from force buying. When you don't get the bomb down, you know, they're not going to force buy in the second round on that T side of things. Look to get the AKs as soon as possible. I suppose just handing itself to the simplicity of the Dust 2 utility usage. But they have bought ever so slightly into this. So looking to do damage. Boost up as well. That's shaky.
That's a new play. That's a new play. This is the last couple weeks people have learned that you can self-boost onto those boxes if you do it correctly. It's exactly what Electronic did there. If he's not self-boosted up, there's a good chance he dies. I mean, he even missed a couple shots there. There's a good chance he gets taken out, but he's boosted up there. No clear, easy kill, and that could actually make or break this round, just Electronic knowing this one cheeky little boost.
Looking to get aggressive and find a way back into the round here on the forZe side. Sorty has to be careful. They're so close to his position right now, but he just about makes it around the corner. Meanwhile, Kenzie taking the peek, finding the first. I don't think any of these weapons win against the AUG. He is left low as Boomich will try and track him down, but the damage done, the round saved, question mark, maybe. I think there is potential. Ooh, he's being flanked out. He doesn't have a lot of time, and the aim punch comes in. Kenzie with the good timing. Nonetheless, it's 3 kills, and Na'Vi, as you can see, do have enough to buy here. Got a pause coming in, though.
I think that's one of those plays where I think teams are realizing how strong the P250 is. Like, the Deagle, clearly extremely strong, but the P250 is extremely powerful, and all you need if you fight against the CT side on the second round, if you're planning on buying third round, all you need is a few kills. You get 3 kills, and look at the money here for forZe. I mean, they can drop maybe a couple over, but if they drop over, then you're going to have Zortit with not the greatest utility, right? They've kind of pick your poison in this situation against Navi's side that very easily could go for a pretty comfortable buy. Wouldn't surprise me too much to see them go for something like Deagles and Scouts and just try and continue to pressure down on the economy of forZe. But, you're usually expecting probably a buy here.
Hopefully we won't be waiting too long on this one. Obviously, it took us a bit of time to get into the game, so... Okay, it seems we've got a little bit of an extended one, but of course the odds up here, they're pretty close, to be honest, considering, number 2 in the world, number 15, on number 2 in the world's best map. So they're, hedging their bets, quite literally, over at Pyromatch, just to be careful, not quite sure which Na'Vi we're going to get today. Back into the action, though, of course, and the buy now coming in from Na'Vi. This does look kind of scary. Simple, lacking utility, but they don't really care. They're going for the quick play. Vic going to flash himself out. That's fantastic stuff from the young gun to get them in.
That's what you see shades of once in a while. Just a quick spin around, insta headshot. We saw that in the last series a little bit from Norbert. And that gets them full long control. Now forZe are going to try and get aggressive in towards middle here. This is what you're really expecting. You lose long control. You can test in middle to get some information as to the way things are going. And it's going to be Na'Vi making their way up fairly quickly, actually, trying to catch a timing here where forZe isn't ready, and Flit's standing with his knife out in the open for a second there.
Blind sprays through the smoke, not going to find anything just yet. Nade goes in, a little too early maybe. The Molotov, well timed though. Bit's going to eat a lot of damage here, and they are split, of course, so time for the CT side to start closing the gap. Ultimately, Jerry on the other side of the smoke, on the other side of the site. Sorted to back him up. Very scary indeed. Flash comes in. Oh, it's ineffective, and they are solidly holding there, the two of them. Simple's on the backside, on the flank, looking to do what he does, but he will get caught by kenzie. Electronic is the only one left. No head armor for him to work with. He finds the head of the first, looking for the second, but kenzie's faster than he is. Third round comes in for forZe. It is dangerously close, but they'll stay in the lead.
Still no money to work with. I mean, well done by them. I almost said lucky for them. They didn't allow a bomb plant from Na'Vi. If Na'Vi gets a bomb plant here, they go for the buy, and this is looking, pretty dangerous for forZe. But because they didn't get the bomb plant, it's just going to be pistols. And although the money's not looking great, you do have a chance to build something up with an MP9 and a scout and make this one a little bit more comfortable.
Never be written off with the Deagles, so a team like this especially, you know what I mean? I think very scary. So you do need to be a bit careful. Boomich going to be tagged up ever so slightly, but nothing too substantial here. Trying to find heads. Oh, there you go. Down goes one. It is quickly traded back, though, which is always the danger. If you don't get the kills quickly enough, the Deagle will be straight in to rip your head off, and pistol round like this against the T side even trades pretty good, if they can burst into a bomb site off the back of a trade. Really is scary. Jerry sticking around close to these smokes. Careful with what he goes for. Flash comes in for him. He's only good for one. Still nothing too substantial as yet, and kenzie's given up control of the B bomb site.
kenzie rotated over to support in case it was a heavier mid side of the mid B split. I think it was a smart play, but Na'Vi read it perfectly, got into the site. The trouble is the bomb didn't get into the site, and Perfecto going to try and get something done here towards window. Considering the aggression in the 2v3, right on the other side is a very lit kenzie, and that would win them the round if he pushed out and got the kill.
It's the flank, though, of course. He will eventually push in, but maybe a bit too late. kenzie capitalizes on the distraction from the side. That is a case of, us having all the information. They probably could have just traded their way through and at the very least found another kill on top of the bomb plant that they have. And they play it passively. So, not going to be the case. But the 4-0 coming in. Nice bomb plant. Comes at a perfect time. They will be very comfortably set up here on the T side with this buy. As you can see, even money remaining. The loss bonus stacking up. Probably could try and buy into the next round without a bomb plant if they lose this one. So, a lot of pressure here on the CT end where they're kind of in the opposite scenario. kenzie's got plenty of cash, but apart from that, they're all struggling a little bit. So, certainly going to be costly. Molly comes in. Forces them forwards. Big man Simple on the other side has got the AWP in hand. Flashes are perfect, though. Electronic trades one back. Zorti again going to get traded. Electronic doing well to keep them in the round. Eventually he loses a fight. And that's what forZe were after.
Exactly what they were looking for. I mean, they even opened up for A to begin with. I believe Flip made his way over to help support with some sort of utility and then backed up over to middle. And Na'Vi happened to be hitting long that round, which is exactly what you're trying to do. You bank a bit of a gamble. Gamble pays off, although Na'Vi are still in decent position here. And as Flip makes his way around the smoke, this kill could be the round, and Bit's going to tear his head clean off. 1v2 now for kenzie. And although it looked very nice for forZe initially, Bits turned this one around instantly.
You have to be careful, right? Never written off. There's so much individual power on a side like Na'Vi. They can get back into things in an instant. kenzie is so unsure, watching mid, watching B. I think little does he know it's going to end up being an A hit here. So I would imagine he will be behind the action, getting that news late, and probably saving if they get this bomb down without a hitch. You'll hear some utility coming in. Maybe that forces him to move. But they've already crossed to the site. I think it's going to be hard here, whether he goes for it or not.
He's got to go for this one.
They got money.
I think they don't have money to buy, regardless of, if he survives or not. It'd be close if he keeps this, but I don't think they're still going to have money to buy if he loses, whether or not he keeps the AK. So that means he may as well take the risk and go for it. But Bit It's on point, and Na'Vi, as we all know, if all 5 of their players show up, they are the best team in the world, and it's not even close.
It's cool to see, though, you know, like, obviously Bit was filtered in. I think he was just playing Inferno. And now they've moved him in fully, and he's making the absolute best of that, for sure. Looking really good here on Dust 2, so... yeah, we'll see how it goes. They are a fearsome team, absolutely terrifying stuff. forZe, though, also looking pretty good themselves. And, of course, still in the lead. Rough bye, but still in the lead. I think their lead comes under contention if they're not able to save or do damage in this one. If everyone goes down very one-sidedly, I think it is a tough time moving forwards. 3 players stacked up on short. The Molotov is just going to push them away and draw their effects for now. But we'll see later on in the round if someone decides to go for it. It's going to be Bit, in fact, flashing himself through a couple flashes to work with. Can he get all 3? No. That's a great little play, though. He throws 1, Perfecto with the 2nd. They were all blind. He just couldn't finish Zorti off fast enough. Nice find from Flit, but it doesn't really matter for much. 3 on 2. Someone's got to do something here, and that someone is going to be Zorti. And I believe when they spot him... okay, Boomich finds the kill, but I was going to say they will end up going B. Regardless, Na'Vi coming through, only losing a couple players. That's definitely not what forZe wanted.
A bit of an interesting buy there from forZe with, you know, they had a few rifles, but they barely had any utility on any of their players. They go for the triple up on Cat, and it's a nice little gimmicky play to try and catch Na'Vi off guard. But Na'Vi, I mean, when it comes to Cat control, if you clear it correctly, if you use the utility in the right way, you're not going to be able to hold on to Cat. And we saw that exactly there. I mean, the flash and then the re-flash, so you turn the players that are playing anti-flash around and blind them as well. Then the swing, the double, very nicely played by Na'Vi in that round, pick up their 2nd. And now you've got this buy here from forZe with, you know, USPs and a P250 and a Deagle. Not very much to work with. And even a couple of kills here, I think, would be mission success.
What do we want to see from forZe moving forwards? You know, maybe a double up setup super early into Dust 2 or something else?
Yeah, I'm not sure how comfortable they are with the double op. I think double ops are something that a team like Na'Vi can sometimes definitely struggle with a lot of these riflers trying to go for aggressive plays. If you can punish Bit whenever he goes for an opening and you just don't give them any openings, I think Na'Vi sometimes can have a little bit of a struggle with those late round scenarios when their opponents aren't just giving them anything for free, and sometimes they just over aggress and they look for things. The double op definitely would work out, but Na'Vi controlling long so well so far in this game, it's tough to do that too heavily with the double op. The ops aren't the greatest at really contesting against the heavy long take, and I mean, you've got what should be a mop up of this round here for Na'Vi.
Yeah, they might lose 1 or 2. In electronic account, Jerry's going for it, but yeah, it's just not happening. I think they're playing it quite well. There you go. Flip finds the head of 1 and 2. Uh-oh. The jump up attempt. Both these players on the A side itself are pretty low. But he's going to go for the money play, just moving away with the AWP. Hoping to take that into the next round. It's Armazer who's holding from short here. I mean, he either contains them in the bomb site and they die to it because they're super low, or maybe they rush off long and then he'll catch them in transition. Potential to make the round costly overall. Which comes in. Ooh, for the T side. There it is. Armazer, he does indeed get his reward. Gonna keep on going? No, he takes an AK. I mean, not bad, to be fair to you. 3 kills and 2 saved weapons. forZe can be pretty happy.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to afford the double op, but at the very least, they can get the single op here with the op saved in the hands of Flit. I mean, I actually thought their loss bonus was higher. They actually couldn't have even afforded 1 op if Flit hadn't grabbed that. So that's money in the bank for Flit picking up that op. And I don't think forZe had any idea how low Na'Vi was there, or they may have considered going for it. But even then, honestly, I think that's a pretty good play, because the op on Dust 2, just such a significant weapon to lock down these angles that you have to play very differently if you don't have it.
Oh, Jerry not going to be flashed out. Kind of an oversight. Boomich does get the trade cleanly enough, but silly one. They didn't expect him to be up close. Bit doesn't really check his angles. kind of neither here nor there, though, with the early trade.
To be fair with Navi, I think the Navi did flash that. I think Jerry was just playing anti-flash and kind of read them. Similar to how, I mean, mentioned the last series again, we had the play where a Dren ran in with no flash and they were both staying anti-flash. I mean, Jerry does run that risk, and I think he just dodged the flash there.
Run boost here on short. Not going to find anything just yet. It is a much quieter round this time. You know, the early frag comes in for either side, but forZe looking to play things patiently. Let's see the lineup. Where's Electronic going? Where's that smoke going? You know, give me an alt lineup, sir. As it looks to be pretty far away from the action, but still over towards short. Maybe, you know, given the presence. Oh, okay, over lurk. You will get taken down. There's a lot of smokes here, of course, to work around for the CT side. Flashes coming from up close. Catch off onto Zorti. Still got Kenzie lurking. Almeza lurking. Oh, he fluffs it onto Simple, though, and Simple capitalize. Kenzie wins his fight. It's still a 2-on-2. Anybody's game right now. Simple is low HP. There's no kits available for the CT side is one thing. They have to work their way in quickly. Na'Vi looking to hold it, and they will. Beautiful stuff. There's Perfecto and Simple certainly living up to the namesake, making it simply perfect to get that 4th round.
Just let that one sit for a second. That was very nicely played by Navi.
Yeah, I didn't plan that, by the way. That was just kind of a last-minute thought. So
yeah. That's what they all say. That's what they all say. That was definitely not something you've been trying to say for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, no.
Not a bad buy here from forZe, to be fair. I mean, they've got Deagles, they've got armor, they've got a tiny bit of utility, and they've got Almeza with that M4A1S in hand, looking to get some longer range duels over towards Catwalk here. But again, Na'Vi they're just going out long just about every round, and so they've got that information. If forZe make any steps on Cat, they'll know exactly what's up. But I mean, even having long control, you're pretty aware that your opponents are very likely on Cat if they don't contest long, and that means that Na'Vi are able to use the correct amount of utility on Cat. If you know your opponents are stacking Cat and you're going to go for Cat control, you're not wasting, you're not just aiming.
Bloodbath on short here, though. Great flash comes in, but it's Kenzie from the side to save the day. Simple's going to find a couple on the AWP here, doing what he does, but not quite enough of an impact. It has to clutch up 1v2 in a round like this. Very unexpected indeed. Weapon's going to be retrieved. And, of course, Jerry is low. They are also split. Ooh, but Flit could get a flank. They could also walk past each other. I can see that being the case. Going to pause on the Flit side of things. So Bit will meet Jerry in just a second here. Timing going to be everything. Jerry just holding the angle, ready and waiting. But looking the wrong way, in fact. Gets taken down. And that might just come off of the fact that Flit wasn't able to catch Bit, you know, moving down short. Timing really, really playing a massive part there. The bomb has yet to go down here. Bit's going to go for it. Flit comes from short, and I think he's somewhat savvy to this. Maybe hearing him coming. Molly lands. Smoke onto it. Going to try and work around that, and he absolutely will. Look at this. He's got so much room to play with. Pete comes in, but Flit's ready, and Flit will take him down. He's got kit available, so plenty of time to retrieve the AWP. The round goes the way of forZe, though. RV will be kicking themselves.
Very nicely played by Flit in the 1v1 too. He saw the smoke go up, and he didn't try and swing out super quickly. He waited, and outwaited Perfecto in the 1v1. Perfecto comes around the smoke. Flit's just sitting there waiting for him, gets the free kill. And the 5th round for forZe. They struggled for a few rounds there in a row, but winning an eco or a semi-buy, I suppose you would call it, certainly will help their economy quite a bit off in the hands of Zort. And I mean, Na'Vi just kind of got caught there on short. They were ready to use that utility, but they were just setting up, and forZe, they just hit the shots. They just out-aimed Na'Vi on that Cat aggression. They found the right timing, and that puts forZe back in the lead.
Long aggression being feigned by Na'Vi. Looks more so to be a B hit, to be honest with you. Boomich going to lose his life, though, as he goes out there, using Flesh to sell the fake. Oh, walking into each other. The tunnels. I think they've kind of figured that out, though. They will turn around and spray Kenzie down. He's left low, but he pushes in, catches Perfecto. And now they're playing catch-up. He charges away, and he will be a thorn in the side until Bit finishes him off. 3-on-3, though. Definitely a doable retake here for the CT side. Great angle from Simple. will take down the first retaker, and because it comes so fast, because the remaining two are split, I think they have to save here.
Definitely got to be a save, and Almazer staying close. It's not quite safe for him to fall back. You know, if he falls back off to play it super safe, because really, if they want to get a decent buy on the following round, they need both of these guns surviving. They need, you know, they need Zorte to drop one or two, and then they can have a reasonable buy. I think Almazer, he's not necessarily, he's looking for it. He's looking for it. He's looking to get a little bit greedy there. I think it's would be for the worse if he ran into a player, as dying would have been pretty painful for his team's buy into this round here. But Na'Vi, that's what I mentioned earlier, is, you know, making their way over B. They just come straight through that smoke, and unfortunately that push through the smoke, walking straight through a smoke, you always run the risk of walking directly into someone. And well, Na'Vi realized it, and unfortunately forZe didn't.
Charge up middle coming in. Bit gets a flash in. This time he's going for Jerry, but Jerry is able to back away. It's very, very fast from Na'Vi, though. 1:35 left on the clock, and already made their way up short, looking to continue the push, I suppose. There comes the first. Flit'll jump across into the crosshair of Simple. And that's the opener they were looking for. Maybe now we will slow down, waste about a minute of time, and then burst in. Or they'll look to go very fast. Great flash. Sorty sticks around for it. Says he was blind. I think it had just started to end, right? And then he's able to find that frag. Almazer with the one-tap here to bring it into a 3-on-3. Chaotic once again, but no clear victor.
Still a minute on the clock after all these things have gone down. Na'Vi playing it so quick to get control of these areas that you've got tons of time to play out this 3v3 in whichever way they want, and that means Bit, he's going to be able to turn it into a 3v2. They still got utility in the inventory, and they can really just, they can do anything they want. And that means forZe on that CT side, you lose players, you lose control of the map, and Jerry likely to be attacked from multiple angles here. Now, if he can win the duel against the Electronic, this is absolutely winnable. He could make some heroics happen here.
He does so much instantly, Jerry. Oh, they line up for him. He does so much damage. I think a dink onto the first and a bit of damage with that same bullet through Perfecto at the front. Or the nade to touch down could be absolutely huge. Down goes the first. It was Bit doing the damage onto Perfecto, I suppose. And of course, Bit now left super low. Oh, the jump in one tap. It's not in the head, but it still looks pretty damn good.
Doesn't even need a second bullet. Never seen a jumping two tap, and he never will.
My guy. I don't know, forZe are impressing here, though, to be honest with you, Vu. Like, keeping competitive with Na'Vi on their best map at the moment is nothing to shake a stick at. Kenzie is just having a ridiculous game right now, 15-6. I think Na'Vi strategically are doing a fantastic job right now. You saw what they did in that last round. They went very quick down middle. They're changing the pace, changing the direction very often. But what they did is they went fast down middle towards Cat to give Simple space to post up for a repeat that they know is very likely coming. This is something Gambit do well, Virtus Pro do it well, and Na'Vi are doing it very well here. They're gaining space so their Opper can post up, hold an angle very aggressively, fully safely, and wait for a mistake. And they waited out forZe. They got a mistake. Simple got the kill. They just couldn't close that one out. Loving this run boost right now as well, aren't they? To get the control of short, I suppose. Very rarely anyone there from the forZe side of things, at least this late into the round. If they do go short, we know about it, because Na'Vi are putting so much pressure there, and they'll respond pretty aggressively on the forZe side of things. But yeah, no kill early on this time around. It's a B split coming in. Gonna even out the economy with a buy like this, so happy to pick up the round. Ooh, Jerry gonna get completely caught off. Maybe some miscommunications there. Maybe autopiloting the old Dust 2 B doors. Unfortunately, it catches him, and they just charge in. That looks very, very simple indeed. Bit leading the way. 2 players remain here, and I think certainly could get hunted down.
I mean, that's the strength of Na'Vi right there. That's the strength of Na'Vi. I mean, a few rounds back, they went for the B hit where, you know, they got caught in this, or forZe got caught in the smoke. They had sacrificed Boomich out towards long. He didn't get a kill. or he maybe got one, but he got killed eventually as he was sacrificed to the fake A gods. And, you know, this time around, they've got Bit sacrificing himself for the B fake. Except with that B fake, Bit just finds both, and they just go, okay, well, I guess we can take B then. Like, why not? They weren't intending to hit B. Bit was a sacrifice, and he still found the double. And I mean, that's just Na'Vi in a nutshell, really. If they're on point, you're just gonna pull off stuff like that.
Yeah. Hot on the heels. Really difficult to call who's really winning things at the moment. I mean, I guess the fact that forZe have got 6 on the CT side is pretty decent so far.
I mean, typically round trades will favor the T side, not only because most maps are CT sided, but also because eventually, you know, the T side just has a safer economy. They're probably going to break the CT economy before the CTs do. However, we're so late in the half now that these round trades are kind of just benefiting forZe, because forZe is on the weaker of the sides, and unless they get destroyed these last few rounds, the trades have kind of worked out in their favor.
Yeah. Oh, I do like this. It's being watched for by 2 players, in fact. Now just the 1, though. I don't know. They want to go for it. Vecto trying to move to join his team, getting his timings right here, but only good for the 1. Will be a Galil retrieved. Of course, these players that didn't really invest anything don't have armor, so not really ideal. But there's pressure from behind, I think, is the big thing for Na'Vi, so it forces them forwards. Spam coming in with the Deagle. Cross on towards the site, but not unscathed. Electronics very low indeed. Of course, the M4 is here, needs dealing with quickly. It is a battle, but Boomich wins it. 4-on-3 ensues. A couple low HP players for sure, but I think it should be doable. The boost comes up, no opportunity shows for it. First end of that boost taken down. The second shortly will follow, and Zorti moves to save.
That boost really is one of those plays that almost every team will go for occasionally, but I feel like it fails about 10 times more often than it works, and usually when it fails, you both die.
No, absolutely, to be honest. Especially with watching, like, a lot of CS at that mid-level and casting it, so you're a bit more intent with the viewing. It definitely does seem like those boosts do not work. They either, like, get taken down while they're pulling it off, or, you know, just instantly dealt with. Because I think it's so well known that it's there.
Well, you're also just looking for the jump MP9 to begin with, right? Like, the jump MP9 is so common, you're just looking for it. It's like, oh, they're actually just peeking me with a rifle. That's even easier to deal with.
Difficult buy-in here. No kits. So little utility. I don't know if I would have preferred a half buy-in from forZe, honestly, on this one.
I mean, that's the strength of the MP9, right? You can get an MP9, a very serviceable weapon, and utility. Dust 2, I mean, yeah, there's not too many places to really utilize an MP9 that strongly on Dust 2. So I can see why they went for the rifles, but they're gambling a little bit to deal with it to begin with. Gambling towards middle. They do make their way back over to B before Na'Vi goes in, though, which means Almazer has a chance to get at least one, and Kenzie in the corner as well. They're not expecting him here. I'm not sure they know this is... Oh, they are going to clear it, though.
Oh, solid stuff. Boomich able to get the first. Almazer up on the window here. They have indeed, you know, left that B bomb site a little bit vulnerable, but they've got players close by. It's kind of, for me, once the bomb goes down, how the hell do you break back in here? I think they know it. They're moving maybe to reapproach from tunnels. Looks like it. Electronics here, though. Going to get the easiest double spray down of his life. And that definitely calls for the save. But you're kind of trapped now, aren't you? They're peeking from all sides. Oh, disastrous round here from forZe. Almazer will get one on the way out. It's second of the round. The only one to have found any kills, but no more. 8th comes in for Na'Vi, and I think, yeah, 6 is like the absolute cut-off for forZe at the moment. The trading of rounds has seemingly come to an end, just as the half does as well, to be fair. And now the money for forZe, yeah, this is really, really dire.
Yeah, forZe, I mean, they went for a double towards middle, completely abandoning B at the beginning, and I'm pretty sure... I think Electronic spotted both players middle, but so I thought for a second Na'Vi might just not clear out all of B side as they went in, as forZe just narrowly managed to make their way into the bomb site in time. But actually, Na'Vi clearing all the angles, and then they've got Electronic just holding the flank. Nothing forZe can really do there. I mean, they couldn't go for it. They couldn't fall back. Electronic was too well positioned, and now they just don't have the weaponry to deal with long control.
Yeah. Too far gone, in a way, to be honest with you, so really not looking too good. Almeza tagged up, Flip pretty low as well. Nice little swap across. Jerry's got a free upgrade, but whether it makes a difference or not is yet to be seen. What are we going for here? We do have Electronic up close. Maybe they're going to throw the smokes in and get him to try and go for an early peek before they bloom. No, just wait for the smoke. Oh, there's the flash. Jerry going to get caught. There goes the M4. Zorti in on the site. Has to stand strong here. Nice nade damage from him, but he's just overwhelmed. They are absolutely everywhere. 5-on-2, and this is definitely not going to happen. You would save usually, but of course, it's the last round, so got to go for it.
Always a nice little change up to see teams. Instead, you know, it's not that Na'Vi didn't have smokes. They've still got 2 left over. They just throw a slight change up there where instead of smoking the cross, where sometimes, you know, weak buys can get things done and try and force through those smokes, you smoke deep. Maybe you molly on Cat. I'm not sure if I saw the molly towards bricks, and then you flash and you just swing out on it. Works perfectly there to grab Electronic a kill and secures them the round. 9-6 at the half. I mean, I think both teams can be relatively comfortable with the 9-6 half. It's not necessarily what you're hoping for on that CT side. I think it maybe favors the T side a little bit, but really it's going to come down to the pistol victory.
Yeah, I think it is that satisfactory mark, isn't it? You know, your 5 rounds is the bare minimum, but these days it feels like you should be getting 1 or 2 more than that. But yeah, you're not super happy with this. You're not disappointed, I think. So it's a nice marker to be hitting for both sides, like you say. But yeah, the pistol really going to have some weight. And I don't know, this is where it becomes a lot harder for me. You can see Bit up to the 16 kills, but then he has a fair amount of support from Electronic, from Boomich. I do feel that moving on to that CT side of things, Simple's going to step up much more.
Yeah.
And it is that, as I've talked about, like the brick wall effect can be really difficult to break down.
I think we need to contextualize a little bit the scoreline here because, you know, it is 9-6. We're saying 6 rounds on that CT side isn't a bad thing. It's totally fine, and it is. But if you look at the scoreline, the way this one played out, forZe won pistol round. They won a few anti-ecos. They won a gun round, and then they mostly just lost. They mostly just lost the rest of the half, right? And they had a few defusal victories. You know, this really was Navi's game from round 4 or round 5 rather onwards, and it's not that forZe necessarily did too poorly. I think they were competitive in the majority of the rounds, but if Na'Vi win the pistol, this is an 11-4, maybe even a 12-3.
Which doesn't bode well for the second half as well, right? Like if they do win the pistol. So, yeah, actually, to be fair, putting things into context, not just looking at the raw numbers, seems a lot worse than it actually is. So, this T side of forZe, man, it has to turn up in a pretty big way, to be honest with you. It really does.
We saw forZe go very aggressive for the... I believe they went for the cat play on their CT side, if I remember correctly, and we'll see forZe go for the long control. Actually, it was long control for Na'Vi in the first half as well, and forZe pivoted back to fight them. Seems like both teams are very happy with this long control idea. No molly here for forZe, though. Na'Vi had a molly for Carr to deal with this exact angle, simple as that, and Foot was there and did get mollied out, at least temporarily at the time. And the question is, are they going to clear Simple? It looks like they're not.
Oh, that's dangerous, isn't it? Big man Simple, he's even on the P2K, I think, to facilitate that kind of a play so that his barrel, you know, is not showing off. And he gets 2 instantly. Traded back, but it's a big advantage. You've gained control of the A-bomb site, but you've all been seen. They know that you're there. Boomich can go for the swing in, takes the planter down, and Jerry can't trade it. Oh, this is not looking good. Perfecto finds his frag, and now Jerry is the only one left. Electronic responds angrily to being shot in the face. And there you are, Na'Vi finding the 10th.
That was one of those bomb plants where you kind of just, you gamble. A lot of the time, you fake the bomb plant and then you post, you try and get that player Gandalf to peek out on you so you can punish them. So a lot of the times you just don't peek out, but the peek out this time around did happen and it worked. Very nice kill instantly on the bomb planter. That means Na'Vi on double digits. And it's going to be on a force. I mean, they're really kind of betting a lot on this force buy here. It's not that the game's going to be over if they lose it, but certainly Na'Vi are going to be in the driver's seat.
I don't know. You know, again, maybe give forZe a bit more credit. I guess with the rifle rounds, it makes a bit of sense from Paramatch. But yeah, Na'Vi looking good, especially after winning that pistol. We will see. forZe have got to get straight back in for me, otherwise I feel like this game is just going to be like an uphill battle that, with a clean 12-6, probably not going to happen for them in the long term unless they can really turn things around once the rifles come into play. So picking up this force buy, I think, would fill fans and viewers and whatnot, fill them with confidence. Jerry going to get tagged up early. We've got two players ready and waiting here. Perfect positioning from them. A difficult fight for Simple, though. He will go down. Bomb plant's going to come in. The 4-on-3 ensues.
forZe getting the advantage, even though they entered this round with very light utility. The problem is they're trapped on the bomb site, and nobody's really coming from Cap for Na'Vi, but they can't know that. And this doesn't allow them to get into very comfortable after plants where they can take good duels, but still Zorta and Flit are going to combine, pick up 2, and that's one that, although they were at the advantage, it certainly could have fallen away from them very quickly, given the position, given the lack of information they had. However, the shots do get landed, the round does get picked up, and Perfecto will do a little bit of damage, you know, get something done.
I presume they're going to force into this one, so yeah, it's nice to soften them up, I guess. And of course the kill bonus of the MP9. Lovely stuff. But yeah, they're going to go for it. Perfecto able to drop a little bit as well, so facilitates Simple for that AWP moving forwards. Although he is just going to buy the armor and kind of nullify that point, so thank you very much, Simple. But yeah, I guess he has head armor instead of not, but then it doesn't really matter because they've managed to get AKs into most of the players here on the force side of things, so maybe could have spent that money on utility. But of course, that's all benefit of the info that we have. As far as he knows, they might have a Mac 10 and he's outbrained them.
Actually, a pretty interesting setup here from forZe, just kind of stacked over on the mid and B side. Usually you see a little bit more pressure over to long, or at least some info gathering on long on these anti-ecos, because all forZe knows Na'Vi really could be doing exactly what forZe was doing on some of their CT side, which is tripling up Cat and then going for a very fast flank on this sort of mid-B play. But I believe they've sniffed out that it's very unlikely that this is going to be a B, or an, yeah, B stack, sorry. And so they're just going to go for the fast mid-B split. Up through they go. Almazer stops the flank. Bit is in a great spot, though, if Zorta hadn't cleared him. Perfecto's the one to find the double.
Yeah, if they panicked, right, and overcompensated for Perfecto, tunneled in on him, it could have been absolutely massive, but it's not the case so far. It's just a bit of damage, keeping that economy modest. Maybe the remaining two players can get something done. Split off against each other, and the jump peak here has spotted Boomich, so he'll be getting out of there. Simple will be getting out of there. They'll take what they have into the next round. It's not an awful lot, but they might be able to get more of that consistent done. Simple going to fall, though. The CZ baiting him out for sure. Long-range battle's a bit tougher, but if come closer, you never know. Oh, he could get it done. That was close, you know. Unfortunate, but nonetheless, it goes below that bare minimum of 3 for forZe, so it ends up being a costly round.
Yeah, I can't blame them for going for the kills there. They did a fairly good job of getting kills right at the end. Simple and Perfecto, was it?
Boomich. No,
they did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job of getting the exits, but unfortunately, they essentially lose what would be 3 guns heading into this one. And now they've got Simple on a P2000, looks a lot like a P250, but I'm pretty sure it's a P2000, know, right? And a flash. And it would have been very nice to see, you know, a Deagle, a Scout, and a CZ into this one. It would have been nice. It would have been nice. Can't blame them for going for it. They did a pretty good job. It's actually, I suppose, a bit of a debate if they should have gone for it or not. And The professional team decides that going for it is the play. And that just means that forZe, they're going to have a free bomb plant on B. Na'Vi, they did the 5-man stack. Does work out occasionally, but this time around isn't going to pay dividends, at least for the time being. Oh, they're just going to let the bomb explode. That's interesting.
Yeah, maybe not give the extra kill bonuses away.
Well, the thing is, if you don't have any... So this is one that I'm going to tell you why this is wrong. If you don't have your opponent... If your opponents don't have a MAC 10, then they're only getting 300 per kill. But all 5 players get $250 extra each for the bomb exploding. So unless you think you are incapable of killing a single player, you don't want the bomb to explode. Like, allowing the bomb to explode but still having all 5 players die, you're losing money. And you're letting more players survive. Like, Flit had no reason to die there. He could have just if he just didn't die to the bomb, then Na'Vi just gave them the maximum amount of money possible.
Yeah, I think catching it was like timing. He was on his way out, the bomb was about to explode, and someone who was left on the Na'Vi side just managed to get the dink off.
Yeah.
Like at the perfect time. So I don't think he overstayed his welcome. It was
he just got a little bit unlucky on the exact position and the timing. But yeah, I mean, that does give forZe. I mean, look at their money here. A couple of round wins, they can already afford a full rebuy. That's how these rounds play out, unfortunately.
Well, pretty key one for Na'Vi to be picking up then, as forZe are hot on their heels, close to evening it up on their own map pick. You know, the Mirage we'd handed to them as being shaky for sure, really strong for forZe. Could definitely see that one going, but if just 2 drops, then we got serious issues. Trickle Smoke's coming in, Flash off the back of it as well. Surely they've got to be ready for this on the Na'Vi side of things. Electronic ready and waiting, I think, ultimately for a drop to come in, but there's no pressure at all going to come in. At the very least, Na'Vi have not over-rotated, so they are very, very ready for this kind of a response. Flash over the top of double doors, a small peek from Perfecto, but nothing too major. They've already pushed in pretty close. Pick going to find the first. Just get traded. Very quick off the mark there, Zorti, and Pensy holding the backside. Boomich going to be taken out on the flank. He's in a 3-on-2. They have got the bomb, though, on that CT side. That's the big thing here, Vu.
Almazer has a smoke, though, and the bomb is very close to the doors, so they can smoke and retrieve that bomb. Theoretically, it's going to be a spam battle if they try to make that play. I think it's the only play they can make, though, with Simple having the op. The smoke misses a bit. It's a little bit too far out. It does allow them to kill Perfecto, but it gives Simple a chance, and he's going to be able to take down Almazer. 15 seconds. There's a clock on this one, and the bomb fell even further forward.
Yeah, dangerous. Flit's got to drop in from behind. Simple is somewhat savvy to the fact. Oh, the shadow! Someone called it. Oh, and he's able to take down Flit. He just has to stay alive or win the fight. Oh. Simple will get it done. And that indeed is what we know him for. Absolutely what we want from Simple, and he delivers in a big, big way. Oh, man. Spotting that shadow, I'm 100% sure that a teammate called that he saw that, because he looked away and then looked back at the perfect time.
Oh, that is so well played from Simple. And, you know, the peak at the end, 3 seconds left, I think some people are going to question it. I'm pretty sure he could have just gotten spammed through that box if he had tried to hide. It's definitely a bit of a risk. If the spam lands perfectly, he definitely could have died. So if you're Simple, why give them a chance, right? Why give them a shot? Just peek out and get the kill. Don't leave it up to the spam god. That is so well played, but have to admit, I mean, I think Almazer tried to grab the bomb and missed it, and I think that's what actually allowed that all to happen. I think he missed the grab on the bomb initially, and that meant he had to go back and grab it, and Simple got the kill, which is, I mean, it's more unlucky than anything, but unfortunately that led to Na'Vi winning that round and getting up 11-9, but still, look at the money here from Na'Vi. It's not much better of a buy than it was last round, and forZe, they still have a pretty solid buy. I mean, Flit on a Deagle. I mean, is a Deagle even worse than an AK? You know?
Slightly different scenarios, but at range, you know what I mean?
Technically, actually, the Deagle has higher DPS than the AK.
Yeah.
Although that's not what really matters.
Right. But it is like awkward to use at close range for sure. Maybe not for players of this caliber, which is why we see it creeping in. Simple has to be careful around this corner. He's trying to help out Boomich with the smoke. He's feeling confident after the previous. Did you get a leg there? What the hell has happened there? He's going to go in for another reface and will end up falling. That flick a bit too fast, I suppose. There's a couple low HP players who definitely could swing back in their favor. Spam through the smoke. Comes in the team kill. Oh, from Almeza. Oh, no, it is all falling apart. Almeza's low. Jerry's not too healthy either. Perfecto up close on the MP9. Able to drop the bomb. Electronic from the backside trading flip. What is going on? Almeza the only one left, just running in, gets spammed away by the USP. What a mental round. Na'Vi somehow capitalized on the chaos.
And that was actually that Deagle in the hands of Flit actually got punished. If he had an AK there, he went for the flank. He got one. He almost certainly would have got two if he had an AK. And that goes all the way back to him dying from the bomb. Very unfortunately, again, you said it wasn't really a misplay. I agree. It wasn't really a misplay, but just the way the butterfly effect of that one. He doesn't die to the bomb there. He's got an AK, and forZe win that round, and it's 11-10. Instead, 12-9, and the eco here from forZe. And Na'Vi posturing to kind of put the nail in the coffin for this one into the next gun round.
Yeah, definitely feels like that is the case. Let's find some bit coming in. Gonna get a couple. It's actually Simple to help him out. Will be traded. Simple's got to be careful here on the AWP. But you can definitely see, I think he's been a little less like his usual self. That is a big bang. Oh, that comes through Boomich. What is happening in these rounds?
Hold on, quick question. How does he get a kill through Boomich in front of Simple, but Boomich doesn't take any damage?
Okay, to be fair,
game, hello?
It's gotta be through the wall. If he's not taking any damage, right?
What
There's
wall?
no way.
I don't think there was a wall there,
I know,
man.
I know, I don't really know either. He's bending bullets, mate. Like, I've got no idea.
We are watching Wanted at the moment. This is a clutch gun round here for forZe, or a key gun round it is, that they're looking for long control. Zorta with the op in hand looking for it, but Na'Vi, they do it all correctly. They don't leave an opening, and that means that the long control was just, unfortunately, a waste of effort, it would seem, as they have to fall back and eventually take their way to cat control.
Oh, that's slightly awkward. Simple might hear them coming here. Oh, misses the shot. He's a bit shaky, you know. He's full of cortisol right now. He's super stressed out. The P2K is out. Big nade damage, but not able to land anything else. Flip finds Electronic in towards middle with the B rotators coming in. I mean, surely you feel like this one is not going to happen, and they will back off to save, so 5 on 3. Can they hold on to the guns? There's not an awful lot of money for forZe, but they might look to hunt all the same.
And look kind of like in Finding Nemo with all the seagulls looking down when they moved up to the corner. There's 3 people staring down on Simple trying to take him down there, and they do take him out. I mean, if they don't get that kill, that's definitely a manageable retake, especially with the damage that Simple hit with that nade. But because they got that kill, made it very awkward. And Na'Vi, they were stacked on this B side. They were going for a bit of a B heavy stack, and unfortunately for them, forZe went the other side. And that's why I say, you know, at the outset of this series, it's tough to be consistent when Dust 2 is a home map.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're staying that one step ahead, as we would expect, but still, this is, well, I don't know, is it? I feel like these days, I was going to say a bit more competitive than you would think between 2 and... are they 16? I think that's 16, aren't they? I said 15 earlier, but I think that's wrong. But I don't think so. Everyone is challenging, you know, within like a 25 rank bracket. It's like anyone can challenge each other within that. So, ooh, certainly curious. I thought this one would be over nice and quick, but no, the M4 and the AK in perfect position. They've found 2 kills between the 2 of them. They'll continue to do so. And a classic Na'Vi round may be about to come. Maybe about to pull some tricks out of the hat. However, it has been brought back into a 2-on-2. And now you feel that forZe should be able to convert this.
This one's a little bit up in the air. I mean, Simple doesn't have head armor, but you're likely to see him... I mean, he's either going to catch them from the side, or I thought potentially he might go back to a headshot angle. You know, it's going to be tough for them to even aim punch him if he's just going to tap you in the head immediately. And this one... I'm not even sure who's favored at the moment. forZe, they do have the initiative. I mean, they're on the T side. They've turned it into a 2v2. but they have stood completely still and Simple. He might not be 100% aware of that yet, but I think he understands that that is the most likely play that forZe went for here. So they are trapping in upon forZe on long, and if Simple gets the timing right, this is going to be their round.
It is all about that timing. He's taking a little more time. The utility going to be heard by a bit, though. A few footsteps as well. Spam comes in. That's some pretty big damage. They need to follow up as well. Oh, Almeza looking to be alive, but there comes Simple. Drops Zorti, and now Almeza on low HP. Probably wishes he was dead, because he's about to be soon. They'll peek round to him. Yeah, and there was no way he was winning that one. So the 14th in for Na'Vi, when they absolutely should not have been taking that. forZe was their opportunity to close the gap, and Na'Vi have just stopped it before it even began.
And it's not even they weren't aware that the flank was possible. Zorta, he went back and checked the flank just before Simple came out. Simple waited that extra half second and then came out long doors after Zorta. They threw the smokes. He went back, checked it, ran back forward. Simple found the perfect timing to get that flank, and that's what Simple does. He finds the perfect timing, he lands the shot, and this time around, it's Electronic that goes 1 for 1. Long for forZe, again, they've been doing a pretty good job of this so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping it up, right? And finding it pretty consistently. Definitely an area I think that they've worked on, and one that you can maybe watch and learn pretty quickly from the VODs and whatnot. Well, from the demos, excuse me. You know, I watch VODs as a caster, but I know players probably watch demos pretty regularly. Oh, Zorti still here in T-spawn. Oh, I don't know if that's going to be expected. Misses it narrowly. Yeah, that bullet is inches away. Just lands in the door. And he went for the reface, which is kind of risky. Now just backing away. They've got this on control, but they've not really done anything with it. And I think they're now set up and ready on the CT end to deal with the push that they so readily think is going to come in.
I think that did signal to them pretty clearly that Simple is playing the A site, given that, you know, there was no op in the double doors there after Zorta went for the reface. So they're going to play it fairly safe with this one, not leave any openings for Simple to find. And the pressure towards B did actually push Na'Vi over to Cat, which means the A site is clear for them to get the bomb plant. The trouble is they don't have any utility post-plant, really, like a molly to push Simple back or anything like that. However, who needs utility if Zorta is just going to pick up the kill on Boomich?
Very true. Down goes Simple as well. I think that will call the save. forZe staying in it, man. They ain't checking out early here, and they are certainly staying within contention. That CT money is not fantastic. The save here could facilitate them moving forwards, to be fair. So, I don't know. Simple's got a fair amount of money. He can get the AWP. What do you reckon? Do they go for it, or just play it safe?
Oh, this is one of those player things. I think, you know, as a coach, I'm thinking, play it safe. As a player, you know, I feel like players are much more, let's gamble on this one. Let's take this round right now. I think... Oh, with such low money? I think this is up in the air. This is up in the air. I think... What's their loss bonus? I think they have to go for the force here, because I'm not sure they have enough loss bonus to actually buy up off of a save in the next round.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And try and do what they can. It's not going to be ideal for a couple of the... Well, Electronic.
It's not just not ideal. It's just only just not ideal.
Yeah. To be fair, it's just kind of cover up Electronic like with your finger and it's fine, you know. But I don't know whether you'd want him, to be honest. I'd prefer Boomich on that, you know what I mean, and give the FAMAS across to Electronic. Obviously something that Na'Vi are a little infamous for.
What are you trying to say there?
In-game leader, he's allowed to, but fragging performance from Electronic is generally a little better, and this is where it would be handy to press tab, but I have to move across to...
I think the idea is just that Electronic is very close to Boomich here. Boomich is going to take the entry, and then Electronic can either retrieve or he can retrieve the gun that Boomich maybe gets a kill on, or he can retrieve Boomich's gun, right? They're staying very close together on this one. So surely that must be the idea. And this smoke up, you know, very common old school play is to flash through when the smoke comes down. And forZe, they're not quite ready for it. Corner right there, they do fall back, but the re-aggression, Electronic with P250 does find two. Oh, you questioned it.
Wrongly. Apparently that's all he needs. Yeah, what can I say? Simple on that angle. He's played it a few times, you know, some deadly angles from him. There was one on the T side that he played, looking across into the B doors, and I guess it's an angle that exists now because it's been flipped. He's got some very, very nice crack angles that, of course, his insane reactions are kind of designed for. But, yeah, I looked up as well. I kind of did Boomich a bit dirty. He's only, well, no, he'd still only be 1 kill behind now with the way that things worked out. So it's all good for him to be on the FAMAS. Bomb plant comes in for Jerry. It is a silver lining to this round, but it's the 15th for Na'Vi being hit, map point. And they've got 4 to do it in. Definitely a little shaky, you know. They have to be careful not to be losing too many rounds.
When forZe can get into these mid-late round scenarios in something like a 4v4 or a 3v3, they are doing extremely well. They are over-realizing what's, you know, their situations. The problem is that they're struggling to get into those scenarios very consistently, you know, and you got to put that on Jerry to some extent, that when they do get in those spots where you can really kind of toy with rotations, forZe are, in my opinion, absolutely outplaying Na'Vi right now.
I can certainly see that. It is just a case of whether they can, like, keep it going. And, of course, I do feel that Na'Vi are having some of their individuals, you know, Electronic in the previous round, bail them out of dire situations. Or Flash comes in, 2-man peek as well. Electronic going to find one Simple, encroaching in, way too quick for that, looking for more. Plays it patiently. And that might just be the final nail in the coffin. Perfecto is going to find his kill on B. It's all on to Kenzie. Against 5. He will take down Simple, but he will also eat a nade and a bullet from Electronic. So that will be all she wrote. Pretty simple stuff in the end. 16 to 11 to finish. I mean, forZe definitely scaring them, I think, in the mid-game portions.
I mean, I feel fairly confident if I was forZe with the way that one went down. I mean, the CT side was pretty weak. However, I mean, Bit was popping off, and all the plays Na'Vi were making, they were making plays where they were sacrificing a player for a fake, and that player would get 2 kills. And sometimes you just have to accept, Na'Vi's just going to out-aim you, and they're just going to do extremely well. But when it came down to it, they pick up 11 rounds this game. They did a very good job on their T side, and this is not the map you were really expecting them to win. You know, it's a map where maybe they can pick it up, maybe they can do it, but you're really thinking they're going to win Mirage, and then it might be a bit of a battle on Nuke. And so if I'm forZe right now, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that. Obviously, you would want to win naturally, but I'm not feeling down about it. And if any player on Na'Vi cools off, I think forZe have a very good shot to actually definitely win Mirage.
Yeah, I mean, Simple, Electronic, Bit, all on 20 kills, and it ends 16-11. So certainly curious for me that you've got so many of the parts that you want going well, you know, and showing up in a relatively decent way. You know, I think it does end a little higher than that because, of course, HLTV is still just catching up. But, you know, the fact that they have such good numbers, but it's 16-11, it's still kind of close. I don't know whether they can keep that energy up moving into Mirage, to be honest with you. But, of course, we're excited to see forZe definitely giving them a good run for their money on Dust 2. And this Mirage has proven to be very, very vulnerable on the side of Na'Vi. So can forZe take us to a third map and pick up their own? We'll have to find out after the break.
There are only a few seconds to close this round. A headshot! Nice! Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear your go, go, go. Make them feel your smashing blow. Win the round. Rise to fame. Hold the ground.
Pretty much. They play, you win.
When you want to get off the darkest ground, the gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, the gravity pulls you straight down.
Without you, I remember myself, my name. Forgot about all you tried to change. Familiar was the sound of your voice as I continue to walk on by. It has been a year and now I'm living on the line. It has been a year and now I'm thinking what's mine, that I'm better off right here without you. That I'm better off right here without you. That I'm better off right here without you.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out.
few seconds to close this round. A headshot, nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear your go, go, go. Make them feel your smashing blow. Win the round. Rise to fame. Hold the ground.
Pretty much, they play, you win.
Welcome back in here on to map number 2 then of the Epic League, the game in between forZe and Na'Vi. It goes a little closer, I think, than you would expect if you look at it on paper, but of course Na'Vi have proven to be vulnerable over the past few days. 16-11 finish on their own map pick. Now we move over to Mirage, where, 16-2 against Akuma, it's really not looking too good. So forZe looking to exploit that vulnerability here on Mirage.
Yeah, I mean, I think that 16-2, people have been saying, and I'm not sure if it's statistically completely correct, that it was Simple's worst performance. Certainly one of his worst performances. I think he got something like 4 or 5 kills in that game. And I mean, it doesn't matter how good he plays. If you get 16-2, surely you're not about to win the game. And maybe he just wasn't given too many chances. But I think forZe is a team that have taken some pretty big scalps when it comes to playing Mirage. They've beaten Virtus Pro multiple times, Furia, teams like Liquid. They've beaten a lot of very top teams when it comes to Mirage, and I think they might be able to add Na'Vi to that list of teams they've beat when it comes to this map. Now, that being said, you've already clearly got Bit activated, and, Dust 2, one of his better maps. Mirage, certainly not a slouch of a map for him either, so he's probably still going to maintain that type of form, and if Bit's on point, you already know Simple's on point, Electronic was doing very well. I think Navi's in a place where they could very well take this one home.
Yeah, I feel that it is certainly possible. And the thing is as well, you have to look to a team like Akuma. A large part of it, I think, is that most of the players, if not all of them, in the current Na'Vi lineup, have not played against players on that team, right? And the way that they approach the game can be very jarring, I think. Certainly if they're just looking to frag their way through, as a lot of CIS teams do. So I certainly feel that, a map like Mirage especially can really just hand itself to that. Even getting away these days, players are so familiar with it with just like not executing or very basic flashes even on towards A and just taking the fights. They're able to pre-aim angles so well that even if you just peek round, there's no smoke, it looks safe, you're going to get clapped out. So yeah, a very difficult one, I think, to be on the end of. You also have to bear in mind the other side of things is that you would assume, although it's not been a great deal of time since, that they have looked at Mirage and gone, okay, kind of unacceptable. People are going to look to exploit it over the next few days, over the next few games. We don't want to be going out in the lower bracket of the RMR here. We absolutely have to fight through. So in a way, you would presume that, A, they've done the work on it, and also maybe expecting forZe to pick it in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm sure they expect forZe to pick it. I'm not sure. I feel like a 16-2 it's such a hefty scoreline in one direction that it's almost one of those ones where you don't look at it and go, well, strategically, we could have thrown this smoke at this moment. I think it's one of those ones where they might just have written it off, and maybe they looked, maybe their coach looked or their analyst looked, and is there any gaps that were being exploited? Is there something we're doing wrong? I think a lot of the time when it comes to a 16-2, you just got shot in the head, like really effectively by your opponent, and you weren't shooting them in the head very effectively yourself. And I think that's a lot of what happens. And I'm interested to see how this one plays out, because I do believe that forZe was kind of out mid-rounding Na'Vi pretty seriously on Dust 2 when it came to those mid-round scenarios, especially when they were on that T side. forZe rarely made a step wrong, and a lot of the steps they took that might have been questionable were they checked the flank, but Simple waited an extra half second to outplay that guy checking the flank. And you can't really game plan for Simple being as good as he is, right? I mean, you can game plan for it, but your plan is that you hope he isn't as good as he is at other times. So I'm interested to see how forZe try and actually manage that on Mirage. And Mirage is a map where Na'Vi, they do play a certain way. I did the stats on this a few months back where, something like 60 or 70% of rounds they open they open kind of off of B, where they really like to send Flamey in towards window early round to spam the top mid smoke, and then move his way back over to B a little bit later. Or they like boosting ladder or jumping cat, even with their cat player, and then playing a little bit heavier towards A. And it'll be interesting to see if forZe try and manage something around that. It looks like Na'Vi might not be leaning into that quite as heavily as they were in the past, but it's still something they definitely do.
Yeah, well, I think, as you mentioned ahead of the first map, that for a very long time, and even still, you know, they were considered the top team in the region, and therefore a lot of teams watching and learning from them and whatnot, and I think certainly that's going to come into play here. So they will, I feel, moving newer members into the team as well, have to have worked on something to make sure that they are fresh and adaptable. Really solid point as well about how it's a difficult loss to be on the end of, but not really all that much you could do about it, really. It's probably not a fundamental failing. But yeah, it did feel on Dust 2 especially that there were a lot of moments where they needed individuals to bail them out. You spoke about Simple, but Electronic had a good few moments. Bit was one, I think, where he'd be put under pressure, you know, and need to step up here, needs two instead of just one, and he would deliver in that way, or he'd get one and survive, you know. So they had a good few moments where maybe they were outbrained, but aim-wise, able to stay on top. Whether that applies more so into Mirage, where forZe are much more comfortable, is difficult to say, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, Mirage is also a map where Dust 2, people hate Dust 2 because it's all mid-rounding. It's all dealing with that little rotation from elevator to B or to mid, where you try and draw that person to the wrong scenario. You try and make sure you're not hitting the stacked bomb site. I feel like Mirage is a map where there's a little bit less mid-rounding you can possibly do, so it might, you know, be mitigated a little bit. Interesting setup from Na'Vi over towards the A side, where they're both going for those left IP headshot angles, but it's actually forZe hitting B, where Perfecto is not on his own, but mostly alone as he goes 1 for 1, and the rotates are here quickly.
Yeah, pretty ready for this, and I think that's throwing forZe off. You know, an aggressive stance like that, going 1 for 1 is pretty effective, because it just means that, you know, your rotations that are perhaps set up and ready for the A side of things will go to A quickly if it ends up being that bomb site.
This is exactly what I was talking about, you know, between maps and about Dust 2. I mean, forZe clearly had a plan. They slowed it down. They didn't overcommit. They stopped, and now they've got Flit in a pretty aggressive spot. This is absolutely a spot where he can be a bit of a thorn in the side of Na'Vi and take this round home himself, and they're making their way over to A. Now, Electronic, though, is in a position of his own.
Yeah, this is, I would presume, going to be very unexpected. Boomich holding from the back end towards CT. They do seem to have some eyes on towards Palace, though. Maybe something that, you know, indeed they have done the research on. Up close and personal is Jerry. Not able to get the frag, though. Simple and Boomich finish him off. That could be big, as you can see Electronic now creeping out, biding his time, comes in from behind, finds a couple, and leaves it all onto Flit, who he himself is coming in from behind. But the defuse occurring. They're not quite covering for him, so he might be able to pick him off here, but now they will be, and they're just going to hold. They're just going to wait patiently. Can't stop him this time around. Electronic takes his head clean off for good measure, but Na'Vi come away with the pistol.
Na'Vi were just a couple of seconds ahead, where they got to rotate over to A to actually put pressure, because if there's no pressure applied by that CT player, they know Electronics in Palace every time. But they were just 1 or 2 seconds ahead of forZe, and that allowed Electronic to get the 3K from Palace. Perfectly played.
Yeah, magical stuff, of course. You see the odds there as well from Paramatch. Shout out to them for their continued support, I suppose. All the same, Zorti going to be tagged up. Headshot lands onto Kenzie as well. Big early damage for Na'Vi. Simple as that. No kills, but certainly asserting their dominance.
Not sure what forZe's plan is here now that they're extremely lit up on 2 players. I mean, this is one of those spots where I think you kind of just fall back on hoping someone can get something done individually, because if you do try and exec a bomb site, I mean, random smoke spams are going to get you killed, right? You know, you're going to get kind of destroyed by something like an MP9 close range, just finishing off Kenzie and Zorta. But you could use them as bait, and that definitely could work out.
Yeah, Flick gonna find the first. Maybe needs some of that baiting to come in. Boomich with somewhat of an off angle on that MP9 finds one. Second comes in. He will be traded quickly, and it's probably a good job that he was. Still, though, just too much pressure here from the M4s. All down to Zorti. Do need to give him the respect, maybe. That's a wide swing coming through from Simple. The flash doesn't quite land, but eventually able to find it nonetheless. They lose a couple players, but I'd say the cheaper bought-up players as well, the two MP9ers, as it were. So, all good in the end.
Yeah, that's part of the play when you get a few M4s. You do run the risk of maybe they die and your opponents pick it up. But if you play, if you play decent angles, that shouldn't really be possible. And then if you do die and your opponents can't pick it up optimally, then you have someone that had an MP9 upgrade to that M4, or you just have the MP9s fall, and it's no big deal.
Ooh, Almeza, clean headshot coming in. Usually you'd say, going mid on Mirage is not ideal without utility, but they don't really care. I think they want to take the fights anyway with these Deagles, so... Nice opener coming in. See what kind of an effect it has. It does come super early. Flit's got a bit of armor, I guess. Not really expecting too much here. Also, curious to me that they go for so many Deagles. Sorted. Is holding on, but, Flit especially is a little poorer here. Almeza can find ahead of another. We're talking it over. They take the fight to middle once again. That's exactly what forZe wanted. There's only 3 players remaining now on the Na'Vi side.
And now with no utility, I mean, if you have full utility, you're not feeling too bad as Na'Vi, but with no utility, they have to continue to recontest. They have to get something back their favor, and it does work out. They get the double. Boomich is a little bit trapped here in Connector, but he's got support from Perfecto. He's got support from Electronic as well, and they will be able to convert that one fairly quickly. That could have gone pretty sideways pretty quickly there because they were essentially forced to recontest in middle straight up, and that can always go fairly poorly.
Well, here we go. forZe in with the first buy here of Mirage. Their map pick. One they were hoping to really run away with, I would presume. Maybe not in a super one-sided fashion, but have the control and the dominance throughout. It will have to start here. The rifle play needs to be solid. RB, of course, have got other ideas. Crack angle from Electronic, pretty solid. Great nade coming through from Bit to just secure. Simple going to find his frag as well. I believe in towards middle from Connector by the looks of things. All the same, the bomb's down. It's a 2-man advantage in like 20 seconds.
That's exactly what Navi's kind of plays work well against, where they had Electronic jump up Cat, and they only had one guy really in B, right? They had Electronic make that Cat jump, and he caught a player crossing. And if you're going to be going heavily in middle, that type of play where you're a little bit lighter on B, you make the Cat jump very often with, not even just your Cat player. That's where those work very well, and just absolutely punish forZe on that one. And they haven't even taken a point of damage. They're going to win the round without taking a point of damage.
Yeah, definitely not what you want to be seeing, right? That's very scary. I mean, we're only 4 rounds in, but it's just the way that they won that previous. A big shift is required from forZe if they are to start getting this foot in the door. And it's probably not going to happen in this round where they're on that half buy once again. So, troublesome stuff here for the T side. I think Na'Vi are proving they've done a bit of work. They are certainly prepared for this one. And they're not going to let the same thing happen to them. They are spurred forwards by the loss of yesterday. Double up setup coming into this round, though.
Double up setup, and it looks like forZe want to go for a Palace pop, and you can certainly catch a player. I mean, Simple was triple, can certainly get caught off guard with an opper towards triple if Boomich was to go down, but Boomich aggressive, going to catch them with the nades out. He takes a few too many shots, but he still gets the second. All right.
Pretty filthy. Oh, speaking of. Lovely deagle from Kenzie. Can he get any more? There's certainly potential. Finds that as Simple. Right, got to be careful now not to give him too many more. And they are questioning, do we save the double up? They might well go for it, okay? Hear me out on this one. Because, of course, and I think they will, of course, can't buy AK. They've got money to buy an AWP up, but you can't buy the AK. So Perfecto, I think, wants to keep his AK.
Is an AK really worth 2,000 over an M4, though?
I mean, for some players, I'd say so. If you like super rich, probably, right? It's maybe a bit wacky if they go for it with this kind of money. And it does look, with Bit buying an M4, it does look like they're just going to go back to 1.
Yeah, it would be a bit odd if they went for the double op off of the AK, but I can understand that the theory behind it. It's just you're sacrificing a lot just to get an AK. But they will go for the single op, and that's not a bad idea. They might actually just be trying to toy with forZe here, where forZe saw the double op, they assume that Na'Vi go back to the double op, and so they might try a strat where, you know, they might be a little bit scared, they might be trying to avoid that double op, and that could actually work very well into the favor of Na'Vi, although, I mean, that's not a peak you typically go for if you're worried about a double op.
Bray coming in from Boomich, good for 1, almost a second, you know, he comes so damn close, but yeah, this is looking like a solid round here for Na'Vi once again, as they're in the ascendancy. They've got a hefty HP advantage. We'll lose window control, I suppose, and it does look like they're not quite ready for that. Simple going to get clapped out through the smoke, sneaks flit, and they've pulled the advantage back. Really nice, simple stuff to just walk through and catch Na'Vi sleeping, ultimately.
Now it's Perfecto to try and bring it back. He gets the walk around the smoke, but nobody on his screen at the right moment. He could still catch them on the timing. Now Electronic is in a good spot as well, but they know he's the A player, and you can see they're scared. They're scared about Ramp, they're scared about Palace, and Electronic, by not getting spotted, he's given himself a chance to really catch someone in the side.
And there it is, takes down Jerry. Need some help from Perfecto, he'll get it. Flit, gonna give the position away, peeks a bit too wide, Kenzie the only one left, finds the first quickly. Has to get this second, there's no smoke available, Flash gonna come in, Electronic's just pushing for it ultimately, and he will manage to find the frag, he's got plenty of time for the defuse as well. forZe, it was so well done to come back in, but Electronic's patience is absolutely genius, right? I think just as they had got that false sense of security, no one's CT, I guess he's not here, maybe he's gone for a wraparound, you know. That's when he strikes, as soon as they think they're safe.
Yeah, that was perfectly played by Electronic. Just don't give any information to forZe, so they have to watch every single angle. They have to worry, because if you remember back to pistol round, Electronic, he was in Palace, and they played it from him in Palace. He got a 3K. This time he's CT, makes no noise, ends up going out a little bit late, gets the 2K, and perfectly played in the 1v1 as well. But Na'Vi 6-0 up. Simple just narrowly doesn't spot the player there, but it's going for an A split from forZe.
Yeah, they're angry into this one, man. They want to go fast. And they are finding great success. For the time being, it's Electronic with the double in from default. Kenzie's going to be left low after all this action as well. It's a man advantage briefly, but they will capitalize on their numbers. Kenzie falls. The angry attack, it works initially, but quickly unravels, as they so often do. Na'Vi up to 7-0, and the second T timeout here from forZe. I think this is kind of surprising us all in a sense, but Na'Vi showing what they are capable of when they get a bit of a kick up the backside. Certainly, yesterday's result has spurred them on.
And Na'Vi are just playing out these kind of specific scenarios perfectly. Electronic kind of trapped there towards default, but he uses his utility well. He catches the perfect timing to go for the peaks and catch up looking the wrong direction. Just perfectly played from Na'Vi. This is what you're expecting to see from Na'Vi. This is what you want to see from the number 2 team in the world on a consistent basis. And even though forZe are doing, you know, I think the scoreline betrays them a little bit. I mean, they've had some very close rounds here, including the 1v1 that Electronic managed to win. Even the frags, they barely have any frags, but, you know, but I feel like it's a little bit betraying as to how these rounds are going. But still, I mean, Na'Vi are just looking so clean here.
It does feel like some of the rounds teeter on a knife edge, though, for sure. I think forZe, with this pause, really could make a difference. Whether it ends up being a long-winded difference, you know, for 5 or 6 rounds is obviously the thing that we cannot know. But Simple opens up into this one to keep it grounded. And I think certainly finding the first frag in a round like this, really important.
Yeah, it's just a matter for forZe. You're not, I mean, obviously you want to win this type of round, but you're not really expecting to win it. As long as you can make it at least a little bit competitive. You know, if you remember a few rounds back, they were in a 3v3 and then or 3v5 for Na'Vi, and Na'Vi managed to win it out. You can bring it into one of those scenarios. You can get 3 kills maybe. You can still keep the economy of Na'Vi low. I mean, they don't have much money for being up 7-0.
Yeah, the plight of the CT side, of course. Flashes over the top, looking to just play contact here. Bit going to find the first, and it's a great setup. They will not check the angle of Perfecto. Flip with a nice double. You can get a few more here. He just get tagged up though, and Electronic will finish him off. All the same, economy modest, that kind of thing. Always good to be doing some damage when you've invested, but 8-0, Na'Vi just absolutely tearing through.
This is about the last chance I think forZe have to actually turn this one around reasonably without just pulling off some absolute heroics. 8-0 down. You can still bring it to 8-7 technically. I mean, even if you get 9-6, it's not the end of the world. It's a decent scoreline, right? But if they lose this one and then they're on another eco, Na'Vi are on double digits, I think even at that point, you just get out of the game.
Oh, Simple kind of handed that one, to be honest. The flash comes over the top, trying to go for something very basic, considering we've just had a pause. It does seem kind of flat from forZe, if I'm honest.
There's been a couple rounds like that, a couple plays like that, where they've just walked into Simple, almost like they feel they need to make plays and they need to get something done individually, when I'm not sure they do. And now we've made our way into a 2v3. forZe, they had it in a 4v3 for a second. Unfortunately for them, Na'Vi turned it around on a dime and bring it into Jerry in the 1v2.
I guess they're just happy to scrap, do you know what I mean? Like, forZe really wanting to play things competitive, take it down to our level. Let's just rely on fragging out and the numbers, ultimately. Oh, Simple actually finds that. I thought he was going to fall there.
This
But
is actually
Na'Vi
something
are
I've
happy to
noticed.
take the fights. It's very strange.
I used to notice from FNS's teams, if we go all the way back to FNS being an NA player, where sometimes his teams they would be scrappy like this, and I would be confident that as long as they could get into the mid round in something like a 3v3 or a 4v4, they would most likely win, because FNS would be able to call mid-round, call their way out of it. And it feels very similar here from forZe, where it feels like their main goal is to just get into the mid-round with even numbers. And unfortunately, Na'Vi is just getting all the kills this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. Molotov going to split them up here. I don't know if there's flames to cover it. Some of them go through it, and it doesn't really go well. 1 HP for Kenzie. They've lost a member to the flames. Perfecto has a nice little smoke to help him out here that he can work around. He's going to do it brilliantly. Look at that. 2K comes in nice and easy. 3 for him as well. Bit going to fall, but he's the only one to do so. 4K for Perfecto overall. 10-0. Na'Vi looking to give forZe a taste of the Akuma lessons, I suppose, that they have learned.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rough for forZe right now. I mean, I think they've gotten to the point where they've done away with the playbook a little bit. It seems like they tried a few straight up strats, the A split that nearly worked out, but Electronic from default kind of bailed them out of that round. And then as we're getting later into the half, it appears they're going for more and more of these plays where they're just looking for a kill, looking to get themselves anything at all, and they're not finding it.
Yeah, we've got a pause coming in. Technical in nature, I suppose. So certainly wanting to get back into the action quickly, I'm sure, if you're on that Na'Vi side of things, especially the regularly scheduled programming. There we go. We'll be back into the action. But yeah, of course, worth noting, you know, the series obviously under contention, but the spot in the CIS RMR for forZe on the line here if they are to drop Mirage. So they certainly need to be making it more competitive at the very least, proving why they should be in the conversation. But don't get me wrong, this RMR is absolutely stacked, man. Like, so many dangerous teams, so many unpredictable teams, as we've seen, and Na'Vi have found out a good couple of times. But nonetheless, forZe, technical timeout in nature, they probably will have used it to their advantage, though, to just work some things out. Almeza charging in through the fire, catches Boomich, I think, trading back from the molly to his rifle, but still falls to the flames. So it continues to be a crazy turn of affairs here, to be honest.
I mean, when your individual play going well means going 1-for-1, I feel like those individual plays aren't doing too well in general, but it does put them into a 4v4, and Na'Vi, they stacked the wrong bomb site, essentially. They went back for the re-aggress on Cat, and A is completely empty.
Yeah, this is a big challenge for them if they're to win it. Bomb has yet to cross, though. Smoke out through connector. They're 10 rounds in. They're going to go through this. Do you know what I mean? The confidence is certainly there for it. They're going to walk through it, in fact, and deny the bomb plant. Quick trade comes back in. Perfecto trying to find it through the smoke. Not able to do so, but the bomb is out in no man's land. This is really not what they want. Simple is awaiting on the other side.
Oh.
Perfecto. No. Oh, man. That is a tough one. That is a very tough one indeed. The distraction across from the jumping, the bouncing Jerry. Oh, goodness gracious. That's the way that forZe win their first round, though. A bit of assistance from Simple.
That's one of those rounds where, I mean, a save could have been considered. I think going for it in any scenario isn't a bad idea. But that's one of those ones where if Na'Vi do somehow convert that round, that is the backbreaker, essentially. That is the nail in the coffin where surely forZe, you know, you finally get your way into a round 4v3, bomb site secured essentially for free, and you don't even win that one. You know, that would have been very unfortunate. Still, Na'Vi brought it close. They did a good amount of damage, but Na'Vi, on the other hand, I mean, they're going to full invest into this round, so forZe have a chance to bring it 10-5. I feel like I'm stretching at this point. It still could go 10-5.
Yeah, they've kept that storyline in the conversation at the very least, but you know, I don't think we have too much hope. It would need a big spin, and obviously that last round is just absolutely mad in the way that it ends, especially. So yeah, there need to be a big shift here. Seems we're on a bit more of an extended technical though, which is certainly a tilter, as they say. And it is going to slow that momentum that forZe have just picked up.
Looks like is there a gun on the ground here for Almazer, or is he out of luck here?
Can't quite tell, unless it is behind Jerry. I don't know if Observer Man can hear us, but get us onto Almazer and see what he's looking at.
I mean, he could get an AK. He at least could get an AK, but then no utility. So it's not the end of the world. Question mark is, you know, do they go for something like an MP9? Do they get that MP9 on the T side? I would like to see that, and then go for something like a fast B hit. Have to assume they wouldn't, as they don't have the best of spawns, and they do have that op saved over at the very least. But anything is possible.
Yeah, I think the CIS RMR especially has definitely showed us that fact. So, yeah, it is going to be pretty crazy, to be honest. We are back to our beautiful faces, though. Hello, how's it going? What's up? As I guess we're on a bit more of an extended one, unfortunately. There was a few issues, I think, getting into it, so maybe that's plaguing, again, moving forwards for sure. But we'll hopefully be back to the action soon. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of a stressful one for me when it comes to like predicting how things are going to go down. I just think Na'Vi are in the ascendancy, and we saw some like kind of crazy stuff. Ultimately, around like that, I think you would probably move to save when you've lost A so heavily. But they just went like walking through that smoke at connector, and you know, super confident, I guess, because you're 10-0.
I think that's one of those ones. I mean, it depends how much utility they have left. I can't remember how much utility they have left. If they've got full clips of utility, I think there's good reason to go for that one. It is the A bomb site on Mirage. However, to retake A site, you need either CT control or jungle control. And essentially what they did there is they gambled that forZe wasn't going to have CT control because Na'Vi was going for such an odd play that there's no way forZe was really expecting it. And Na'Vi hadn't given up the jig that they were all on Cat, right? So forZe couldn't know it. And so that's kind of what they were gambling there. I feel like in the old meta, the old economy, you always go for that one. And in the way people are saving now, where it's much more common to save and just give up rounds where you're 3v4 or something, I think usually you probably do save that one, depending on, maybe you have some information on the way forZe play after plants on A or something crazy like that. But I think in that exact scenario, I think it's totally reasonable for them to go for it because they're just on fire. And at that point, I mean, if you beat forZe in that round, I feel like the game is already done and dusted.
Yeah, to be fair. Certainly is the case, to be honest with you. I think that things can very quickly spiral out of control if you lose a round like that, and I think mentally it's definitely going to have a dire effect. So it's pretty big for them to be holding on to things. It does seem as well that they're the ones that are having some of the issues here, so I think they'll be kind of frustrated at the world, at the situation, that they can't get back into the action, because you absolutely have to capitalize on a round like that, but there's just a little bit less to go for, I think. But yeah, I'm not sure how long we're going to be. I think I've just heard in my ear that we're cool to go to a break, I think, and just wait this one out. Okay, what's going on? Welcome back. As soon as we go to break, absolute classic, mate. We are back into the action here. Yeah, forZe have got their issues sorted. Let's just leave it at that. Have they got their issues sorted in game, though?
Yeah, that's the question. I think the issue has continued as they've struggled a bit here, but 3v3, simple, going through the smoke does get punished for that little bit of aggression, and now 2v2. It's going to be a struggle to get the bomb planted, though, and Kenzie dunked on with 2 nades from CT. At the very least, that means Flint knows both players are in CT, so he's got a good amount of information here, but he's got 22 health to work with, make it 8, and now he's stuck in Firebox here. Good try. It was a good try.
NT, Yeah,
I mean, there's not much he can do there, right?
No, yeah, you just kind of screwed. You got to hope that they push into you, but why would they do that? Or you just have to make a move. So yeah, pretty tough.
The real difference between this game and Dust 2 is on Dust 2, forZe was able to utilize long control to actually force out a lot of engagements where they would go 1-for-1 or 2-for-2 or 2-for-1, whatever, and get themselves into these mid rounds where they could get themselves out of. And on this map, they are a little bit lacking in terms of they've just walked into a few angles with lack of utility. Remember back to the round where for all they knew, Na'Vi was double opping and they walked into the B op and just got themselves killed. They've kind of struggled with that. They've just struggled to get into these mid rounds and even scenarios. And I mean, that's on Na'Vi more than it is on forZe making mistakes, as they go here 1-for-1 again, but they've only got, pistols. They don't have a ton of utility to actually make anything happen here. Although Perfecto boosted up, gonna get taken right down. 3v2.
Ooh. Nasty. Looking for more. Electronic. Oh. No way. Oh my goodness. No way, dude. How do they not take him down there? Electronic, the unkillable, apparently. 19-3 right now as well.
I mean, every time Na'Vi's in a rough spot, and it's not that often, usually they're opening these rounds up in their favor. They're getting bailed out by something like that from Electronic, and that's, I don't think forZe misplayed that too heavily. They were in decent positions. They were just looking for Electronic, and Electronic just blew them away.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, kind of unkillable, apparently. Nice find from Bit through the smoke. Talked about Fame in the previous series having a hard time. I think the entire forZe squad is having a hard time here on Mirage. Yeah, really not what they were expecting, I think. And maybe, they could see themselves thinking into the future and just a bit too overconfident coming into it. You know what I mean? We pick Mirage, easy win. Not quite the case. I don't think they would have thought about it quite like that, but you know what I mean? That Na'Vi's looking vulnerable. It should be okay. And then it's like, wow, we're like 5-6 rounds down. We've lost some pretty decisive rounds here, guys. What do we do? And they don't have much of a backup plan. Ooh, great find from Kenzie. He's going to be traded out. Bit has got to be dealt with, but just too hard to pin down. They've dropped the bomb at his feet as well. They're both very low here. Should be another round going to Na'Vi.
It does have a chance here, though. Picks up the 1, but getting attacked from both sides. Not much he can really do as he runs out of ammo. 13-1. Yeah, I mean, for's got to be feeling like Na'Vi did against Akuma. Not feeling too hot.
No, sir. Not at all. Yeah, this is definitely not what I was expecting. Look, I don't think it is like a breeze map or whatever, Na'Vi. It's a anomaly, really, the Akuma loss. But I did feel that we'd have some competition. Do you know what I mean? That it would be a close one. forZe would probably have to work for it, but there certainly could be stuff that they've seen in the result yesterday that they can exploit, but it just doesn't look that that's really the case. Na'Vi have changed their game up. forZe, not really. Just approaching it with their regular game plan, and that's not quite good enough for an invigorated and angry, you know, a vengeful kind of Na'Vi, really. Best chance they've had in a while, though. As I'm talking over the action, you know, Cass will talk about game. I will do so now that Perfecto's found his kill. It's all going to be on to Simple, though, and he can't get it done. So they get the second round. They might be able to do 1 or 2 better than Na'Vi's performance yesterday, but the game itself, a 13-2, surely not, right? Oh, man, 20 and 5 for Electronic. Madness.
If you think about it, okay, so 13-2, you just need the pistol round, then you win the anti-ecos, 13-5, then you win a gun round, 13-7, another gun round, 13-9. No, it's not very likely.
Yeah, and I think to fend off against all the force buys when you're in a position like this, you know what I mean, and whatnot.
Eventually, one of them's going to take you down.
Yeah. Have to be realistic. It can happen. It's not impossible. That's the beauty of Counter-Strike, I suppose, at the end of the day, is the possibility that every game, every round is technically winnable. But Na'Vi would be fools to drop this. That's a great find coming in from Zorti. The smoke as well. Not there. They are fighting him, and wrongly so, to be honest with you. They've lost 2 players and nearly a third.
Yeah, the smoke missed in window. That's Perfecto. Is it Perfecto? Perhaps it's Electronic, who only has 100. Maybe he bought it as well, but it looks like it was probably Perfecto, and he's probably getting something in his ear, either now or between rounds. What the hell, dude? You let us down, and that's ambitious.
Yeah, they're all getting a little caught off by each other. I think it was Perfecto, because Electronic, I'm pretty sure, dropped the P250, bought 2 flashbangs. So
Makes sense.
yeah, it's unfortunate. It happens. Also, would be nice to catch. Might have been body blocked. But obviously, we didn't see that.
That is possible, yeah.
We just blame Perfecto.
Regardless, very nice shot from the window player on the first guy jumping out. I mean, that's why you always say on pistol round, you always have the first guy jump out for the T side so that the guy defending the angle has to deal with multiple players at the same time. He can't just tap you down. Unfortunately, even if you jump around the corner, if you get hit in the head while you're in the air, there's not much you can really do.
Yeah, that's the one thing you have to account for. Nice find from Zorti here. He's liking his window so far, looking pretty clean. As he takes down Simple instantly. Of course, we are expecting forZe to find this round, but stress-free is the big question. So far, so good. Almaze has taken a tiny bit of damage, but nothing too substantial. I think he's traded back a fair amount, so it's kind of worth.
There was a game in Old Nuke, CT side, 13-2 victory, lost 14-1. No, T side, 13-2 victory. Then they lost 14-1 on their CT side. I can't remember the teams, but there have been greater comebacks than this.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely there, but you know, I think for the most part of like a comeback like this, until it gets to like 13-11, 13-12, you're not really believing it. You have to stay realistic. Maybe if you're a diehard fan. But as you can see, Perfecto on the scout has got other things to say. He doesn't want it to get anywhere near the potential of a comeback. Bomb's going to go down. We've got no kits available. Tags are landing left, right, and center. Simple is not the only one who's affected with the scope weapons. I mean, okay, 2 quick kills like that, I think they can definitely indeed now work in. So certainly possible.
And Perfecto, he is lit as well, and they know he's here, but the Tech 9 to the dome ski for a second as well. Perfecto going for the ace, and Flit doesn't even have a kit. I'm not sure if there's a kit down, but if he doesn't have a kit in the bomb site, there's almost just not enough time, and doesn't matter. Perfecto with the ace.
Okay, my guy.
All right.
That's a hell of a round, especially when he moves on to that Tech 9. I was like, surely not. Gets a low HP player, fair. But the guy with the AUG round the corner, mincemeat, mate. That is,
I was saying that was one of those
crazy.
spots for forZe where you have to go for it just because the way the round is going, but you maybe you don't really want to go for it. It's like not that likely, and they got the 2 entries, they went for it, and just Perfecto on the other side.
Yeah, man. The intangibles, the things you cannot account for, especially when you look at a game like this, simple and electronic, and being up there, Flick with the knife, though, in the smoke, gonna find a kill. So at the very least, electronic gets embarrassed. Oh, the round itself.
Moral victory.
Okay, hold on. I was gonna say it was gonna be tough. Got low HP onto Bit, gonna get driven by. It's left onto Boomich. And he's gonna get clapped out by Almazer. Okay, Almazer with a 4K on the Deagle. I thought the knife would be the highlight for the forZe side, but no, not the case.
Alrighty then.
We get down into the depths with a game like this, the scrappiest of Counter-Strikes when it's super one-sided in the CIS region. It is just an absolute bloodbath.
I mean, one thing Na'Vi did on their T-side on Dust 2 as well is they were very suffocating, I think, for forZe, where they would just change up the aggressions consistently and make it really tough for forZe to get a read on what's going on before Na'Vi was already in very advanced positions and kind of breathing down the neck of forZe. And they're doing it again here, and that was a great example of it up until the point where Almazer, got a 4K with the Deagle.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff that like we can't really account for when it comes to doing analysis and predictions and all that. To be honest with you. And this round is maybe a repeat of that, with an AK out for simple and electronic. That's definitely who you want on these weapons. Perfecto going to go down without tagging up. Boomich trying to come in from behind. Big brain play. He finds one brain, looking for a second. He is in there. I know he's in there. Oh, going to get caught. Is he going to find this kill? No way. Kenzie, that's yours every day of the week. He was reloading electronic. Oh my god, what is going on? What is happening? Oh, and he even gets a tag off onto Zorti. There's 3 more to find. Not going to happen. Na'Vi just brute forcing their way through this one at the end of the day. And this is what we're talking about with the comebacks. It just feels all but inevitable. And if you can't fend off against rounds like that where they're doing super basic stuff, then you're kind of doomed.
You can't not kill Boomich there. You can't not kill Boomich there. That is... You do have to get that one every day of the week. I mean, even in a loss, you just got to be finding those, and unfortunately just couldn't find the kill quite quickly enough. Boomich, I mean, to his credit, he did body spam with the Deagle, which is totally balanced, but still you got to kill him anyways.
I'm sure it'll get changed soon. Maybe a little. You'd hope. Daddy Valve comes in. Maybe just a little bit. Either way, feels like the game is over here. Zorti will find the head of one. Oh, gets another as well, to be fair to him. Electronic's kind of low. This would be crazy, but he's got 22 HP. He was thinking about it. He was thinking about it. He was close. But yeah, the round, the game definitely feels like it's over here. Yeah. Good night, says Bits. R.I.P. 16-4, little anticlimactic in the end, little uneventful the whole way through. I mean, it was extended a bit by the technical pause there on the forZe side of things, but yeah, not how I expected the second map to go. Like I said, the 2-0 definitely on the cards for me. Na'Vi just able to turn it up in a team that they're much more familiar with than the likes of Akuma, but only the 4 rounds is sending a bit of a message, that they certainly realize their Mirage needs some work, and they've done some, clearly.
I mean, that's one of those games where I think Perfecto gets a bit of a bad rap, where he gets, people think he's not that great. I think a lot of the time he's just not given the opportunities to do well. I've looked at some of his, I've looked into some of his worst games, and a lot of the time what happens is if you're a support player on a map like Train or Nuke and your team just gets dominated on the bomb site, you're not really given any engagements that you can win. And you can see, especially with that ace with the Scout and the Tech 9, I mean, he's got the talent there. It's not lacking in that regard. You know, it's just, I think he gets a bit of a tough rap.
Yeah, maybe a little. But he had some moments to shine there in the second half, of course. I think he ends towards the top side as well.
I think he might have top fragged.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
he might have
pretty
been
sure.
actually at the top.
Yeah, so Electronic and Simple not too far behind, though, the three of them. Again, it's a similar story, this time much more one-sided, but it was the same on Dust 2 when we had, I think it was the three of them. Might have been, no, it was Bit instead, wasn't it, instead of Perfecto, fragging out of their minds, and that was much closer. So kind of curious the way that you pick up kills. Of course, we got the bracket, I believe, ready to just see how things have panned out now after today. As you can see, we're checking in with those round 1 games. And I believe it is VP Akuma, the loser of that plays Entropic. The loser of Spirit Gambit plays off against Na'Vi. That's not until Friday, though, those games. Bit of a break for those teams in the lower bracket side of things. Less of a break, I suppose. They've had their break today, really, haven't they, for Spirit Gambit, VP, and Akuma. But yeah, shaping up to be pretty stacked towards the tail end, to be honest with you. A few upsets here and there. If Akuma could do it to VP as well, then I'm like, whoa, okay. Now we really need to start paying attention. You got any thoughts on those upcoming games tomorrow?
I mean, it's just kind of crazy. One of Spirit or Gambit is going to go into the lower bracket, face off against Na'Vi. It feels early for that to happen. I mean, that's really based off the fact that Na'Vi lost to Akuma. And Akuma, I don't know if they're Titans quite yet. It's going to take a little while.
Yeah. Bit more to prove. But certainly, keep your eye on and definitely check in tomorrow to see them against VP. That'll be the second game tomorrow. The first one is that Spirit Gambit, which, I mean, just in and of itself is going to be a great and could potentially be a final matchup between those two teams. But that's going to be it from us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for coming on, Vu. It's been nice to cast alongside you. And maybe we get to do it again sometime. But indeed, we have to bid adieu and say good evening. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, shout out to Paramatch, our sponsors. And we'll catch you tomorrow with the next games.
There are only a few seconds to close this round. A headshot! Nice! Fist bumps go to the teammates.